It is Thursday night, and I think we all know what Thursday night means around here. That means that it is YSS Let's Talk Live, and I've got a special guest with me, Sarah Zollar. Now, Sarah, don't take my hat as any, that I didn't do my hair for you tonight. It's just the fact,
not at all.
It's cold outside. It's rainy. And this just felt appropriate. But I'm really excited to have you. So welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Rusty. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you've been with YSS for 4 years.
Yep, about here in October.
4 years, your master's degree. We are blessed to have you on staff at YSS. And for those tuning in right now, we're going to be talking a lot about National Recovery Month, some things that we're doing, some ways that you can get involved. My name's Rusty Johnson. I'm a YSS prevention specialist. And again, honored to be a part of YSS Let's Talk every Thursday night, 7 p.m. right here. So without further ado, Sarah, I mentioned National Recovery Month. Can you tell folks what this is all about and why we're here, what we're talking about?
Absolutely. September is the 31st National Recovery Month, and it's a time when people who are in recovery dealing with substance use or mental health issues are honored and celebrated. It's a time really to bring attention to the needs in our communities and the services that folks provide, and really to reduce any shame or stigma that's surrounding people who might try to seek out support. And this year especially, it's such an important time to bring attention to these issues, as both have been on the rise with everything going on in our nation and in our world. The theme this year for National Recovery Month is Join the Voices for Recovery, celebrating the connections. And this is such an important thing to be able to do, because people in recovery, while they have to be the one to recognize that they have a problem or have a concern, they really do it through the connections that they develop and supports that they gain. Folks that are in recovery are some of the most resilient, strongest people I know, and I'm really blessed to be able to work with them.
Yeah, and we have, and hopefully, Sarah, maybe we can talk a little bit later on, but we have programs at YSS that work with youth in recovery and folks in recovery, and I can echo what you say, some of the most resilient people that you can possibly meet. With my program in prevention services that I work with in YSS, I teach some classes that deal with substance abuse and also sexual health education. And just today, I was working in a program that was dealing with youth and addiction, or youth working to overcome addiction. And I tell you what, again, truly amazing. And so again, I'm excited to be talking with you, who kind of steers so much of this. So talk to me a little bit more about the need for services. And when we're talking about services, what are we talking about? Because that can span, my goodness, that's a big word.
It is. It runs the gamut. I'd like to start off by kind of telling a little bit of a story. And so a lot of times people may think that, there's not anybody in my family that I know that struggles with addiction, or nobody in my family that struggles with mental health. And so sometimes they don't really see that there's a huge need for it, or, that just happens to other people. And so one of the things that I want to kind of talk through is the idea that a lot of times people, when they first start using, don't intend to become addicts. They don't, the first time they take a drink, the first time they, smoke marijuana, that's not their intent. A lot of times they're doing it in their mind to have fun or to connect with other people around them. And they might do that as a teenager, sometimes even younger. And so they do that some, but then there might be something that happens. There might be a loss in the family, or an injury to where they can't play a favorite sport, or the loss of a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something like that, or some kind of trauma that happens. And then all of a sudden, something that they were doing for fun, all of a sudden now serves a need. And it's an unhealthy way of coping. And so then it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden parents are noticing that grades are starting to slip, or they're not hanging out with the same kids that they used to hang out with. They start, the parent spidey sense kicks in and goes, "Ooh, are they lying to me right now? They didn't used to lie, but now I don't feel like something's real." And so then, then they start questioning, and then they might bring it home, or a sibling might find it, or parents might find it, and then parents may not know what to do. And so one of the things, we think sometimes that it's not very common, but like 36% of teenagers across the US have tried using it. And 5% of those used before, or tried it before they even turned 13.
Wait, before 13 years old.
Yeah.
So before 13, folks have already just tried. And like you were just saying, Sarah, trying, that's not the intent, is to get addicted, right? But that is crazy. So almost 6%. Wow, before 13 years old. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that caught me off guard.
Absolutely. It surprised me too when I saw that statistic. And a lot of times, when kids are using, 1 in 4 Iowa juniors, so this is just right here in our state, in our backyard, 1 in 4 think that there's no risk associated with using. And so for them, it's no big deal, right? And so and the hard part is for them, they don't recognize the danger that by using this occasionally, that it could develop into something that impacts their lives, their relationships, just their future.
Yeah. Wow. That's just crazy. And I also saw up there on that slide just about the overdoses too. Absolutely. So like you said, 174 US lives daily, 115 just from opioids. And we've all heard about that opioid epidemic out there. And I think, with me working in drug prevention as well, and in the schools, and doing our best to get out there and educate, wow, a lot of folks think that, the opioid crisis, that's dealt for, older, adults. And Sarah, that it really does impact the youth and what we're talking about right now. So we also talked about, with YSS, the organization that both of us are a part of here, and we span and work, my goodness, in multiple parts throughout the state and multiple programs. So with you being the expert on this, can you chat just a bit about what YSS can do to help, and what we do to help address these issues that you're talking about?
Absolutely. We're blessed to have several areas of the state where we are able to provide services. So our outpatient mental health counselors and substance use counselors, we've got folks in Boone, in Ames, Des Moines, Marshalltown, Mason City, Webster City. And even for folks that don't live in those areas, right now you can connect with any of our therapists or our counselors through our telehealth. And so all you need is an internet connection or a smartphone, a laptop, something with a camera, and be able to connect to that, and not have to necessarily, especially in rural areas where you might have to drive an hour, you can just hop on from the comfort of your home and be able to seek out those services and seek out that help. If you check out YSS.org, you can see all of the service options that are available, because our folks do all kinds of amazing things. For our adolescent residential programs, we've got separate male and female houses in Ames. And then we've got our male program up in Mason City. And up there, they just recently did some renovating, and it looks really awesome up there right now. Kind of normal length of stay for those residential programs are about 3 to 4 months or so. And they get ton of times. Ton of groups and tons of education. Rusty, you mentioned the groups that you provide, and yours is one of the favorite. Like when the kids when the kids are saying, "Hey, I know I've got a session today, but that's during Rusty's group, so can we change that?"
I love it. You're making me feel so good right now.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, so it's a lot of, so the kids that we serve are anywhere between 12 to 18, usually kind of in the 16, 17 range, usually. And they're there because their parents have said, I'm really worried about my kiddo. There's stuff going on. We've tried maybe some outpatient and that's not working. And so I'm worried that if I don't do this, I'm going to have to bury my child. I mean, it becomes a life or a death thing. And so we're honored when parents are willing to choose us to be able to help them and help their kiddos.
And Sarah, I mean, talking about addiction and talking about, I mean, is it important for folks to catch this early, for parents and for community members and whatnot? I mean, I would assume that early intervention is better.
Absolutely, for sure. Because the longer you go, the more habits, the more you get immersed into the drug culture, maybe in their community, the more ties they break over time, and losing those healthy connections in the meantime. Absolutely.
Yeah. And one thing we were just talking about, how I go into various programs throughout YSS and also outside of YSS too, be it in the public schools or be it other academies or organizations, and do substance abuse education, sexual health education. And one thing that I love, though, about being a part of YSS, also working in the programs within YSS, is, wow, the connections that the resources that are provided to the youth in the residential addiction programs that we offer. And I know you had already mentioned that with National Recovery Month, the motto is celebrating connections, which I think is really, really cool. Connections, because that is everything, as we were just talking about, everything, especially with recovery. And so can you tell us a little bit more about YSS and kind of, how we can connect within ourselves, within the community? What exactly does this motto mean right now with National Recovery Month?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for example, in our residential programs, the way we connect with our other YSS folks and partners, our youth employment folks and prevention folks come in or over Skype, work with our clients regarding gaining skills that they need for employment and being able to get education regarding various substances, and real education, not just what they heard from their dealer or heard from their friend, but real stuff about what those substances can really do for their bodies, so short-term and long-term. The other thing, our outpatient folks provide mental health therapy and med management for us. YSS Mentoring connects our clients with role models and supports, and people that they can look up to and can kind of help give them that model. And even our YSS Transitional Living Program, they've assisted some of our clients who may not have the resources that they need to head into adulthood on their own. And then, like at the state training school, we've got a collaboration with them where we've got some YSS folks that work with some of the residents there, some folks that are kind of our most at risk in terms of their future.
And I was just jotting down real quick because I saw I interrupted you again, but I'm actually jotting down notes here. I mean, because this is like comprehensive what you're talking about. I mean, a youth can come into one of the programs within YSS for addiction, be whatever that substance might be. And it is like, again, to use that word, comprehensive program. You mentioned mentoring, which is connection. Medication management, the education that I come in within our prevention department, and we have experts that come in and really give them unique, tailored services. The transitional living, helping them get back up on their feet. What others? I mean, what did I miss?
Absolutely. We mentioned the training school that we've got folks out there that are working with them, with some of the residents that are out there. And so, but then we've got our community partners, and our community partners are amazing. We've got school districts in the Ames School District and the Mason City School District that really partner with us. A lot of times the kids that we are working with haven't been going to school really consistently, or maybe have had some really negative experiences educationally wise. And so they're given a different way to experience school. And so they really do a great job of helping and supporting our kids and helping them have that different experience. Public health in Mason City provides Wise Guys and some education, and then Access in Ames talks with our clients about healthy relationships. And then we've got 12-step meetings, AA and NA meetings in both of those communities that really reach out and connect and bring those kids in. And then we've got some sponsors that volunteer and go through our checks and all that kind of thing, and then talk with our kids one-on-one about where they're at in their recoveries and where they're at in the 12 steps.
I mean, this connections, going back to that connections, I understand now why it is the motto of National Recovery Month, because wow, a lot of connections and a lot of resources. And what about the families? Yeah. What about so obviously youth that come into our programs, how do we work with that, with the families?
Absolutely. So our clients get to have phone calls with their families regularly. They get to be able to see their families and visit. And right now, for our COVID stuff, it looks a little bit different than it usually does, but they get to at that opportunity every week to be able to see their families and to build those relationships again. At times they're offered family sessions. Some of them are offered MDFT, which is multidimensional family therapy. It's a specific therapy, an evidence-based one that's designed especially for adolescents with substance use and their families, because the idea of it is you don't just drop off your kiddo and say, here, fix my kid. It's helping all of them really connect again, because so often there's been so much lost trust and so much disconnection between them. So helping parents be able to be on the same page, to be able to listen to their kid differently and hear them again, and for the kid to feel heard. It really can be transformative for families.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one YSS Let's Talk that is kind of mind-blowing too, just because of all that goes into this. And again, another note to add to my little list here is all of the YSS mental health services, that, the therapy, and we have that entire division of YSS that we're able to bring in and provide resources, and all of the partners there. A huge shout out to all of those community partners that you just mentioned. And real quick again, Sarah, who's some of our community partners that make all this possible and that ultimately impact generations to come?
Absolutely. So the Ames School District, Mason City School District, Public Health up in Mason City, Access in Ames, and then all of the 12-step folks that work with our kiddos.
Wow. So thank you. A huge shout out to all of you for being a part of this team, and that collaboration, that connection again, which is part of the motto of National Recovery Month. A happy National Recovery Month to everybody tuning in. If you are tuning in right now, we are live. Well, if you're tuning in Thursday night at 7:18 p.m. We are live here, and we have a question box. Please jump in if you want to make a comment. I already see, actually, real quick, a couple of comments as I was checking, Sarah, because they're about you.
Oh, okay.
They're good about you. So my goodness, we've got quite a few here. And one of the comments I love is, Sarah is great.
Aww.
You might know this gentleman, Timothy Martinez.
I might know him as well.
Yeah. So Timothy is a phenomenal guy. I actually just talked with him today. Andrew Allen, so grateful for Sarah's leadership in our residential addiction treatment program.
Aww.
And leadership, truly what you do. So again, you have a chance to ask some questions to Sarah, the expert here on YSS Let's Talk. Please chime in and even make a comment. If you're watching later on, do this for me. Share this, get this word out there for lots of folks that can jump on board, be a partner, or maybe they know somebody that might need a little bit of assistance. And that brings me, Sarah, to another question. that I have. For those who might be thinking about reaching out, what do you say to them? What's your guidance?
I would say first, just remember that you're not alone. A lot of times when you're dealing with mental health issues or addiction issues, you start feeling really alone. And there are so many people that have walked the path that you're walking, and they're just a little bit ahead of you. Look for a 12-step meeting in your area and just show up. The folks there will reach out to you and help you on your journey. Reach out to us, call YSS or another provider in your area. If you're having a hard time finding a provider there, give us a call. We see what we can do to help get you connected with somebody. Like I said earlier, the clients and the families that I work with are some of the strongest people that I know. They've been through losses and trauma, and they're doing the hard work of processing and working through those issues so that way they can have a different life for themselves. So please know that if you're struggling, there is no shame. There is only strength in seeking out people that can help walk alongside you. For any of you guys that are interested in and joining us in the work that we do, feel free to check out YSS.org for job opportunities. Be ready to do the work with an open heart and a willingness to serve others. Yeah, and one more shout out that I wanted to say is that to the community members in all of our areas, if there has ever been a need from YSS, that gets posted on Facebook or shared in some way, every time community steps up, whether it's our shelters and, refrigerators going down because of power outages. I mean, there's so many different ways that the communities really step up and help all of us.
Yeah, and you can find out, I know you mentioned it, Sarah, YSS.org is a great place to go to find out what's needed, how you can get involved. We already mentioned several of the programs, be it mentorship, be it professionally, if you're in mental health or if you're in prevention or if you're in, my goodness, so many different segments. Check it out, YSS.org. Volunteering is a great way. And I can tell you personally how many volunteers I was impacted by in my personal journey. And Sarah, also kind of another curveball question in the residential, programs that we're talking about. What is different staff roles? What do they look like? So, because we saw Timothy chime in there, and I know that he has a role. So what are some of the different roles that people play in those programs?
Absolutely. So I'm not going to be able to give you all their technical jobs. I can tell you a little bit about it. Their job, yeah. So we've got our floor staff, and those are the staff that work day in, day out with the kids. They've got an 8-hour shift, maybe in the morning to early afternoon, or they work the evening. And then we also have awake overnight staff. That they're the ones that, I talk with folks all the time about, people think, oh, the counselor is the one, that the kids really get attached to and connected with. But when kids call back after they leave, they don't want to talk to the counselor. They want to talk to their staff because they're the ones that they spend so much time with. And so then we have Tim. And so he helps develop our schedules and making sure that our groups all run on time and run how they need to. And he's amazing at finding creative activities for the kids to do to keep them engaged and keep them moving. Because we really need to look at not just, having them learn, but physically having them up and moving and doing things. And then we've got our advocates who they really spend a lot of time connecting with our clients and helping them figure out what they want for their life and what resources are in their own individual home communities to be able to connect with when they get back home, maybe finding a job or finding 12-step meetings in their areas when they get back. And then we've got, our staff supervisors that develop the schedules and keep it going.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we've got our leadership folks that just help have the reins on and keep it all going in the right direction.
And then you have everybody else like me that you bring in as like a resource or, an addiction specialists and sexual health educators, my goodness, drug specialists, employment. I know that that's another program that I work with close. So talking about job skills and working, again, just really, really a comprehensive program Again, incredibly just awesome all around. And something you said also that hit home with me, Sarah, is, and I can't remember your exact words, but it was talking about, in essence, that, you know, there's really no shame in asking for help. And sometimes folks need help. Sometimes folks maybe need a nudge from somebody else to get help. And there's a stigma, I think, around sometimes when we talk about addiction or we talk about mental health, and it might be a negative, but it's not. It's something that, you know, changes your life. I just saw a comment from Andrew Allen down there that was talking about the program saved my life 20 years ago. #grateful. And now look at Andrew. He went on and worked for a huge financial company with, you know, working with millions and millions of dollars, and then went on, of course, now is our CEO of YSS. And that wouldn't have been possible without the program that you work with, all the programs that you work with, and all of these community partners that we're talking about, and all of the folks that are watching that will share this and that will ultimately really get involved. So for the folks that might be watching that know somebody that needs help, maybe that they want to call out, maybe get just a little bit of guidance. Can we put that slide up again? Yeah, right there. National Suicide Prevention Hotline. As simple as 1-800-723-TALK. And if you, for any YSS residential referrals, the number's right there, 515-233-4930. And YSS outpatient, 515-233-2250. All of it found on www.yss.org, or another great place is right here on our Facebook page. And you can find it. Again, big encouragement to everybody. Please share this video. Get the word out there. So Sarah, huge thanks for being here tonight. Is there anything else that you want to leave with folks, or is there any words of great wisdom from all of your experience? For me too.
Absolutely. I mean, connection is really key. And I do want to touch a little bit more about the World Suicide Prevention Day. If you're thinking about ending your life or believe that the world would be better off without you, please reach out to those connections around you. Give that National Suicide Prevention Hotline a call. Call 911 if you need to.
Yeah.
Give us a call. We can, sit down with you, work an assessment with you, talk through things, and see if we can help. And walk that path with you. You are not alone. And I just want to say that one suicide is one too many.
Yeah, and I, just today, Sarah, I was attending a conference. It was a virtual conference, but with the CAP Center, which is the Community Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Center, Iowa Department of Public Health. It was kind of a joint thing, and something that I've heard before that was said about suicide is, it is truly and correct me if I'm wrong here, but it is a permanent thing for a very temporary problem.
Absolutely.
And there's no coming back from that. And the folks that are impacted by that can be just truly tragic and truly. So definitely no shame in reaching out, getting some assistance, talking. And that's the thing, is the resources are here. Sometimes you just got to ask, which I think can be sometimes the most difficult step. But that's why we're here, is to help out and to work with that. So the awareness, and I also want to bring up that tonight at 8 p.m. On our Facebook page here, we will be lighting a candle and signifying a candle in honor of Worldwide Suicide Prevention Day. And we encourage you to do the same. So if you can encourage your friends as well, maybe to put on their Facebook a candle, just to raise awareness, to get the information out there, like that number, 800-273-TALK. Or if it's definitely an immediate emergency, definitely 911, to get the resources and all the connections that we've been talking about available. Because goodness, look at what can happen with great connections, great resources, and the great futures that can happen and all of the people that can be impacted. So also, before I let everybody go, something else exciting happening, and I know, Sarah, you know about this too, which is Reggie's Sleep Out. Now, have you ever jumped on board, or have you ever been a part of Reggie's Sleep Out at all?
I have not, but we are planning on doing some camping out in our backyard here soon. So we'll be part of it.
Okay, yes, because this is exciting. If you don't know about Reggie's Sleep Out happens once a year. In the past, been in person. This year's taking, actually, I think, almost even more of an exciting form, which is virtual, and giving you multiple days to sleep out in your backyard, on your sofa, on your floor. You be creative, however you want to do it. And we're raising money ultimately for homeless youth here in Iowa, in honor of Reggie Kelsey, who aged out of the foster care system and unfortunately was found deceased, was found dead, ultimately because of homelessness. And this is why we're raising awareness for so many youth out there, and so many youth that we serve. So please jump on board, be a part of this. I know, I think the last figure I got, well, there it is right there, $83,000 raised of a $130,000 goal. And here's the thing, this is exciting. We still have days left to get involved with Reggie's Sleep Out. If you have a church team that wants to get involved, an organization, be it 4-H, be it just yourself, I shouldn't say just yourself, because yourself is pretty darn powerful too. Whoever it is, you can jump on board, and registration closes September 11th, I believe. So we still have another day, I think. My goodness, yes, one more day to actually register to be a part of this sleep out. So please get the word out there, Reggie's Sleep Out at home.org, or you can use hashtag RSO at home to post pictures, the pictures of you sleeping out and being a part of this. So Sarah, thank you very, very much for being a part of YSS Let's Talk. Honored to talk to you. And one more chance. Anything else?
Seek out those connections.
Okay, connections. That is the motto of National Recovery Month. So I invite everybody to tune in next week, 7 p.m. for YSS Let's Talk. We're going to have a panel of folks, and this is going to keep me busy. So we're going to be talking about the Child Welfare Services Workforce Appreciation Week, and we got some superstars on board. From our AMP program, which stands for Achieving Maximum Potential, Taylor Harden. We have Kelly Novashin from she's a program coordinator for our YSS Advocacy program. My goodness, we have Emily from Child Welfare Emergency Services, and also Sarah from our YSS Family Connections. So my goodness, we might need to schedule 3 hours. No, joking. It's not going to be 3 hours. We'll get it, but this is going to be exciting to have such all-stars, rock stars up there. Just like the rock star that we have tonight, which is Sarah Zollar. Sarah, thank you so much again for being a part of YSS Let's Talk.
Thank you so much, Rusty.
All right, so until next Thursday, 7 p.m., share this video and tune in next Thursday. And also tune in, I believe, tomorrow night, 7 p.m., for a special broadcast and an update on Reggie's Sleep Out. So until then, have a great night.